Here we go. Spoiler alert, audience. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Jason Show Home Edition. I'm Jace. Happy post 4th of July. Hope you all had a good, safe, festive 4th of July weekend. I know we did. And I'm also pretty confident in knowing that every firework ever created has now been sold. Did you guys see the video? Someone posted video, an aerial view of Los Angeles. I want to see what that looked like from space, because there were just fireworks popping all over the place. And I know, we were with the family at the in-laws cabin in Princeton and Cambridge, and the neighbor down the way had fireworks. I'm pretty sure he spent $72 million in fireworks. I joked. I said, is Land O'Lakes sponsoring this? Like, who is? Because look at those. I thought we had some decent ones. All legal. We had some, and I thought, oh, ours are pretty decent. But ours looked like Hooterville fireworks compared to the neighbors. But anyway, other than fireworks, it's hot. Everyone was probably outside. This is where I spent the majority of my weekend, right there on that floaty. That is a 6-person flotation device. And I got to tell you, that thing was heaven. And it was heaven until I discovered, because that's right there in Green Lake. I was out there, and, I'm one of those kids. I was one of those indoorsy kids where, I never took off my shirt. I was embarrassed. Well, over the weekend, I didn't care anymore. I took off my shirt. I got in Green Lake until my nephew spotted something swimming in the lake. And I went, what is that? And I made a joke because I'm a goof. I said, oh, is that Nessie? He said, no, I think it's an otter or a muskrat. And I'm like, holy Captain and Tennille, a muskrat? I didn't know that they were in Green Lake. So then I got worried because I already have a fear of water, like what's below. I don't like black water, don't like water at dark. So I have a fear of what's below. But then I thought, oh my goodness, am I going to encounter an otter? Because let me tell you, I did a story at the zoo. They look cute. They are cute, but they're as mean as all get out. And I didn't want to miss a toe. So I was all freaked out. But then I got back on the raft the next day, and miraculously I survived. By the way, if you want that thing, Sam's Club has it for like $150. It seats 6. And it has a chaise, whatever, however you say it, lounge. It is fantastic. So thank you, Sam's Club. Okay, everybody, let's get started. It is time for the hot dish. Here we go. Whoop, whoop, whoop. First piece of dish, let me tell you, a little tease. Coming up in a little bit, I am actually going to give you some news about the Jason Show and the return to the Fox studios, and 5 days a week. That's coming up in just a little bit. But first, one celebrity is taking a stand against mommy shamers. You know how much I love mommy shamers. Okay, let me just show you the picture. Let's talk about this. So this is singer Maren Morris. So she posted this picture of herself with her 3-month-old son, Hayes. So they're floating on a lake, much like I was during the 4th of July weekend. Well, it didn't take long for one of her followers to ask, where's the child's life jacket? Huh? Well, Morris's husband came to her defense on Insta and said that their son has 2 life jackets and they would never knowingly put their son in danger. So then she got frustrated because then the mommy shamers started coming out. She deleted the photo along with every other picture that she's ever put of her son on social media. She said she's kind of done getting crap from mommy shamers. Here's the deal. I do not have kids, but I've said this before. I don't get mommy shamers because here's what I do know. Being a mother, being a father, being a parent is, as Oprah said, the hardest job in the world. Why do you want to make it tougher for other moms? So let's say that, but let's put that aside. I get it if your intentions are good and if you word it with kindness, if you lead with kindness. The problem is when you lead with Judge Judiness, Judgy McJudgerpants, because then the person you're trying to give information to, they get defensive, they shut down, and the advice you're trying to give them, they don't hear. My buddy Falen from KDWB talks about that soon. But so if you're going to do that, just come at it from a place of kindness, because then the receiver will probably receive it with the intention that it was sent with. If not, I don't know. I don't understand it. I don't understand the Judgy McJudger pants with other moms. It's hard enough. Okay, let's move on. Last week we told you about the Real Housewives of New York. They're kind of going through a thing because Tinsley Mortimer left the show, so they had to redo the credits. / they went on a hiatus for a while because of the pandemic. Well, during the hiatus, they had to shoot what they call their testimonials. If you've seen these shows, you know what I mean. It looks like this. It looks like an interview like this, where they look in the camera and they kind of narrate what's happening in the scene. Well, let me show you this. People are freaking out. The new episode aired. Look at Luann right there. People are losing their mind because Bravo didn't give them a mic, a proper mic, and they say it looks like it was shot on an iPhone, which they said, Bravo's known for their their kind of classy look. And they said, money cannot buy you class, Bravo. How about money buy you a microphone? Because here, I get it. Everyone that does a show, every network that's trying to make their shows work in a pandemic, when you're trying to keep people safe, you're doing the best we can. Obviously, that's why I'm doing my show from my extra bedroom. But at least I have a mic, and I don't even have a quarter of the budget that Bravo gives to the Real Housewives. My point is, give Luann a mic so she doesn't sound like she's in an echo chamber. Thank you very much. Okay, one more thing for you. We all love a good dating show. We love reality shows, and we love dating shows around here, especially Ted. Well, look who's getting into the dating show business. That's right. That woman right there, the SJP, she is developing a dating show with Lifetime. And the show is going to be called Swipe Swap. So let me tell you what this is going to be like. Basically, it sounds like an unscripted TV show version of the holiday movie, The Holiday, with Cameron Diaz. So here's how it works. 2 singles swap locations. They adopt the other's lifestyle. They live in their home. They visit their favorite hotspots, connect with their friends, all in an attempt to find love. Now, it's unclear when it's going to debut, and it would add to Lifetime's unscripted lineup that's already there that includes shows like Married at First Sight, Little Women, and Bride and Prejudice. I haven't seen any of those shows I just said. But look, if SJP is getting involved in a TV show, even a reality show, you got to think it has to be good, because she has to be pitched 4,000 shows a week. So if this one caught her eye, it makes me think, oh, there might be some quality to this. But this isn't my speed. What we'll do is we'll have Ted watch it, and then he'll report back to us, because this, it's not my genre. Okay, guys, like I said, coming up in just a little bit, we have news about the return of the Jason Show to the Fox studios in 5 days a week. I'll tell you that, plus some special guests and some fun. So get another cup of coffee, and we'll be right back.
The Jason Show, everybody. We've been pent up in the house. It's time to get out and about, and that might mean you're taking some photos while you are out and about, maybe of your family, your pets, of your kids, grandkids, houses, things you like. You get the idea. You're taking pictures of things, and most of us go, wow, I thought I could do this and make it look cool, but it doesn't. So we're bringing in the experts. I'm really excited to be joined this morning by Patty Wagner. I've been following you on Instagram for, I feel like, forever, and now meeting you like this is very exciting. Hi, Patty. So you've got hundreds of thousands, and I'm not kidding, over 200,000 followers on Instagram, and you take so many photos. What I like about you is it's of your house or houses you're inspired by, and your family and your kids, like Ava. And you're doing this, and all of a sudden you have this massive social media following. How did this happen? And was it intentional?
No, not really. I mean, how I got started was maybe 5 or 6 years ago. So I was a product designer for Target. I designed photography for 13 years, and about 5 or 6 years ago, they really encouraged a lot of the designers to be in the know with social media. Like understand Instagram, understand Pinterest, and more so Instagram, because it's a lot of real life people, lots of designers on there, and you can get great inspiration. And so I signed up, not understanding Instagram. But once I signed up and I followed people that inspired me, it was just like a great platform for me to get on and just like, have a ton of inspiration. And then one day I thought, well, I should maybe show some photos of my house. And then I got regrammed by Domino magazine. And that was the first time that I realized, oh, wow, this is crazy. But back then, if a magazine like Domino magazine or maybe Better Homes and Garden regrammed you, you could get, thousands and thousands of followers.
So the big reason that we're talking today, I said it before, is that you've got these great photos and you've got a couple of before and afters you've sent me that maybe hopefully folks at home can replicate on their own. So the first one was an exterior shot of a house in autumn that you've re-edited. If folks want to take a photo like that, what are some tips for them?
Yeah, for me, so the house that you'll see on there, it's a friend of mine. She's a neighbor, and it's such a beautiful house. And when I take a photo of a house, it's all about how you frame it, right? So like, I always look either like straight on to a house, or you can look at the angle. And once, the shot has to be pretty good when you shoot it before you want to edit it. Okay. And so the one that I am sharing with you, I kind of took it from the angle because I loved how the autumn trees were, falling in there. And then there was like the white picket fence that she had. So I think it's just making sure you are shooting at like the right angle. And when I'm saying this, I am not an expert photographer by any means. I am a total amateur, and I kind of just learned along the way, but I definitely am like not on the level of a professional photographer.
But that's what I like about you, is that I don't feel like really intimidated by it, because you talk to a photographer and they talk about iOS and they talk about this, and I'm like, I don't even know what you just said.
Yeah. Yep. Everything that I do is just, it's through my iPhone. I would love to learn how to shoot with like a real camera one day, but it is intimidating. So all the tips that I'm going to share, it's going to be just with me taking photos with my iPhone.
I love it. Okay. So angles are really important. That's a really good one for that exterior shot. The interior shot you sent me of a bathroom, it seems pretty normal, but then when you light it up, it makes a huge difference. How did you do that?
Yeah. Interior shots, when there's not a lot of natural light, can be kind of tricky because they're dark. You don't get a lot of details. But if you edit through, I like to use the app called Lightroom. It's free. You can even use other apps. I started out with this one app called Visco, and then moved on to Lightroom. But these apps are amazing, and they're free, and they let you just really, lighten up your photo. But I switched to Lightroom because they have presets. And so when I found certain photographers who sold like presets that I loved, I switched on over to Lightroom. So the presets are great because they're kind of like, almost, it's a great way to just like instantly edit your photos.
Okay, my final question, we talked about it. You've got this beautiful family, by the way. You have these great pictures of all of your kids smiling and looking cute. And I'm like, how do you do that?
Oh, it's not easy. I never want any family or any moms to look at those photos and feel like, what in the world? Because I don't take photos of my family very often. But when I do, I have to be super intentional. I think the key is making sure that everybody's ready for it and that you have like 3 minutes. And after 3 minutes, you just got to say, all right, we're done, because you're just forcing it after that. And so I think just getting your family ready, like, hey guys, we're going to take a family photo, get everyone ready, kind of know where you want your family to be positioned. And my little guy, he's 18 months old. He just turned 18 months, and he's the difficult one. He is like, wanting to run away from pictures. So for us, we have like 3 minutes, and I kind of direct my family. This is what we're going to do. And I give it 3 minutes. And I also use a tripod. This one is like $20 from Amazon. It's not the best. You can see I like have cotton balls stuck in there. So, I'm not a professional by any means, but the tripod's great because it comes with a remote control, and you set it up and, just keep on clicking. And by like the 50th photo, you should have maybe one that looks great for you to edit. So that, yes.
Well, thank you, Patty, so much for talking to me and giving me some of these tips. I love that you're an influencer who's not trying to be an influencer. It's just happened that way. And hopefully people can get a few tips from today.
Awesome. Well, thanks for having me.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I'm like a little bit geeking out right now, but that's okay. Everybody stick around. The Jason Show will be right back.
Welcome back to the Jason Show Home Edition. This is where we do good news. We call it Jason's non-negative news. Let me get the little bloop. There's our rainbow. Jason's non-negative news. Basically, this is a segment for nothing but positive news, good news, happy news. So, and I think this qualifies. As you know, right after the pandemic started, Fox 9 kind of limited the people that they could have, that we could have in the Fox studios in Eden Prairie. Because most of the resources, understandably, had to go to our news department, including Jeff and Ted, producers of The Jason Show. Our show had to be kind of put on the shelf for a minute. And then we came back and did these home shows. We figured out a way to at least do 2 fresh shows a week from my closet. Not really my closet, my extra bedroom, which has been great. But we've really wanted to get back to the studio, but we wanted to do it when it was safe for everyone. And when it was possible, because I got to say, Fox has been very, very smart in their restricting the amount of people in the building. And I got to tell you, I've said it probably 17 times since March. It ain't brown nosing, but I just want to say I've been very grateful that they've taken such good care of us. Okay, so that leads me to today's announcement. So after talking and meeting and making sure we had a good plan in place that would keep everybody safe, I'm thrilled to tell you that as of Monday, this coming Monday, the Jason Show will be returning to the Fox studios, and we'll be returning live 5 days a week at 10 a.m. Now, let me say, you know how Nutter Butters the world is right now. There are murder hornets. So this is the plan right now. I don't foresee anything changing, but you never know. So as of right now, again, I'm so excited to be back in the studio. I was actually, right before I started taping this, I went to Fox inside the building for the first time since basically the end of February. And I put a suit on for the first time since the end of February. It felt real nice. You can see that pic on my personal Instagram account. Just search for Jason Matheson. But I'm really excited to be back. I'm really excited to spend every weekday with you. And again, it starts on this coming Monday. Right now, though, I just want to say thanks to Jeff and Ted and Rob and Eric and Kendall and the whole crew that made these home shows possible. It does take a village, and the home shows were no different. And Jeff and Ted really had to split their time between the news department and the Jason Show. So I just want to say thanks to our staff. Again, they're the best, and they've proven how good they are during these 4 months. But be that as May Murphy, it'll be good to be back in the studio, good to be with you. So set your DVR, back live this coming Monday. And speaking of back, we'll be right back with more of today's show right after this. And welcome back to the Jason Show Home Edition. It is hard enough to find love when the world isn't dealing with Well, a pandemic. Can you imagine trying to find a relationship, a date, anything in the middle of all of us quarantining? Our good friend is back with us to try to help. Please welcome back to the show, April Davis from Luma Matchmaking. Hey, April, how are you?
I'm doing well. Thanks. Yourself?
Good. It's good to see you. We've been catching up with all of our normal show friends since this started, so it is good to see you. I hope you're doing well.
Likewise, and thanks.
Okay, so I love this. April is great at matchmaking, but also just parsing this down into lists. And you heard my intro. It is really hard. I was thinking about this too. Luckily, I'm not single, but you have broken this down into 5 kind of helpful tips. And the first one is creative communication. What do you mean?
During this time, you want to take advantage of whatever FaceTime that you can get. So use mediums such as your phone to do a video date, or we have Zoom. That's always a great thing. And just, be engaging. You could also send pictures to this person that you're dating or audio clips. Don't do the same old just text messages or talking on the phone. You want to be creative in your communication.
April, are you hearing from a lot of your clients? Because obviously, a portion of the Jason Show, like this portion right here, we do on Zoom. Are you finding, I was wondering, not so much millennials, are you finding folks like my age and older, 40s, 50s, and 60s, are they embracing the technology during this time?
Absolutely. We're teaching them all how to use Zoom, or, there's so many different mediums. Some people don't have iPhones, so they can't do FaceTime, so they're finding different ways to do it. But we just had a couple yesterday that went hiking together, or at least she was hiking, and she brought her phone with him, and he could see the scenery, and they had a great date. It was an hour and a half, and it was done over Zoom while both of them are in different cities. And, so it's a good way to start building that connection anyway. And then eventually they can actually meet in person, because that's actually going to be these two. That's going to be their next date. They're going to meet in person and do a real hike.
Well, and I just thought of this, April, and I'm sure you have. I was just thinking that this is probably a lot more intimate, because if you're at a restaurant, or you know where I'm going with this, if you're at a restaurant or you're peewee golfing or whatever, you have so many distractions. On Zoom, it is just, I'm looking at you and you're looking at me, and you have to have a conversation.
What I also like about it is that people are actually having to create relationships and talk. And so you're hearing about these apps that used to be for hooking up and stuff. They're not working, because people aren't just going to hook up right now. They want to actually get to know a person. They're building relationships, and people just want connection at this time.
Yeah. Number 2, flirt. How do you do that?
Yeah. Well, you can always, do things such as teasing, just being funny, and create that sexual tension. Another thing that I really want to encourage people to do, and what we tell all of our clients to do, is just up the ante and dress up, because that will just make you feel confident, so then you can flirt. And, not everybody does, especially right now. We're all at home. People are barely taking showers. So why not and put on a suit coat or even a dress for ladies and stuff, and just, I always tell people, turn the dial like 10%. You don't have to Cinderella it. Just be a little bit better than the next person, and that will set you apart from everyone else.
You also mentioned here on my list here, a little teasing and a little funny. You got to bring in the funny.
Yeah, absolutely. You have to. It's dating, so you should be having fun. Don't take it too seriously. And, it's not an interview. You're just getting to know someone and enjoying yourself.
Yeah, if your dog is like right here, bring your dog into the camera.
Absolutely.
Just try to be cute. Yeah, I love that. Yeah. Okay.
We've all heard stories about people's pets that have interrupted business meetings, and everyone loves seeing your cat or dog or whatever.
Yeah. You mentioned You mentioned this a minute ago, activity dates. You told the hiking. How else can you do that in this era?
Well, we set up people to do FaceTime and wine dates, and it just makes things a little bit more relaxed when you tell them that you can have some wine, because now you've just changed it from being that, that FaceTime where it feels like you're on the spot. And we tell them, have a glass of whatever. It can be tea or whatever you want. But I also highly recommend that people bring a candle. I got mine here. And light a candle during this date, because that's just going to make you a little more relaxed and just set the mood to be a little more romantic. Another thing that you can do is just take them with you wherever you may go. So I've heard of one couple where she was actually going shopping, and she just took them with her shopping. And it was during a time where, where everything was really locked down. So it was entertaining for him. Another thing that you can do is play games together. You could watch movies together. You could show off your talents or your skills. So if you play guitar or something like that, you could, play them a song and show that off. Another thing, just like recommending books or videos and stuff. There's just a lot of different things that you could do together, and even though you are apart.
Number 4, surprise them with your generosity.
Yeah, I love when people actually mail something. It's so rare these days. So if you send them maybe a gift, a postcard, or even just a handwritten letter, I think that really would be a sweet gesture to make. Another thing that you could do, especially if they're sick, is order them some food and have it delivered to their house, or offer to pick them up something if they need something and you're in the same city. So, offering to pick up groceries or something and drop them off. Not that you have to see each other or anything. You can just leave them outside. You're not trying to go into their space or anything, but just being generous, and I think right now people really appreciate the kindness and just the generosity that others are showing.
And then finally, keep it positive.
Right. Always keep it positive, because there is a lot of doom and gloom going on around us, and it's easy to go down that rabbit hole, but you don't want to talk about all of, Corona, political stuff, everything. Just keep that out of the conversation and keep it positive. Just have fun with it. You have a lot of experiences in your life, if you made it this far, that are positive. So you can focus your energy and talk about those kinds of stories and ask questions to them about things that you can tell that they're excited about. It could be their pet or their kids or whatever hobby that they're into. Just keep the conversation light and positive.
April Davis from Luma Matchmaking. We're going to put how you can get a hold of April on our website, on our Facebook page. Just search for Jason Show TV a little bit later today. Thank you, April.
Thank you for having me.
We're going to take a break. We'll be back right after this. And welcome back to the Jason Show Home Edition. She's another one of our friends, and we haven't heard from her in a little while, and especially now that we've all been in quarantine. From Dave Ryan in the Morning, please welcome our good friend back to the show, Miss Falen. Hello, Falen.
Hi, how are you?
Good. Well, let me guess, are you in Dave Ryan headquarters? It looks like that's where you are.
I am. So we typically, obviously, would do our show in the studio, but once everything happened, everyone here was assigned like their own studio. And then Dave and they put us in the performance room, like when we have artists perform at the radio station. So we've been in here in the performance room the whole time with like desks that look at each other, but 6 feet apart.
Well, okay. There's worse things. Well, I was going to ask you, because obviously we're going to get to the baby and we'll talk about Jake too. But we haven't heard, what has it been like? I mean, people that watch this show have heard me talk about what's it like doing our show remotely. What's it been like for you and Dave?
Yeah, it's been just so weird, because typically Dave would run the board, like turning our microphones on stuff. Well, Steve, our producer, he's been doing that in a different studio. We can't see him. We've tried to do like the FaceTime with him, which we do, but we're just not used to it. So we don't even really look at each other often on that. So it's, Dave and I are the main ones that talk on the show. So we, it was important for us to be able to see each other, because you can kind of see where someone's going by face or the motion. So it's just been very unique doing the show like this. And it's been a lot more because we changed our hours actually. So we typically would be done at 10 a.m. Now we're done at 11 a.m. And we don't know when that's going to end. So it's been very unique.
Yeah. Well, and you guys are such pros. And obviously, to talk about Dave for just a second, I got to ask him too, how has he been doing with this? I mean, because he's been in this biz for so long. He's seen it all. How is he doing?
He's good. I mean, he's very, we took a lot of precautions earlier on, and I mean, he was very aware of that. He even tried, he didn't want to, but the company was like, let's have Dave do the show from home. And he tried that for a little bit, but the show wasn't the same. We had a lot of delay issues, and, Dave has worked really hard to have a good show. So he was like, you know what, I can't do the show from home. So he, kind of risked it, and he decided to come back in and do the show here. So he's just been very cautious of everything, like everyone else, really trying to encourage people to wear their masks. We're all a little confused with the lack of wanting to wear a mask to help others out in our community. But, you know, like you said, he has seen it all, but this is him because nobody has seen anything like this.
I flipping subjects for just a second. Have you flown with Dave?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Because for those who don't know, Dave Ryan is a pilot, and I see the Instagram photo sometimes, and Falen and I are like real friends, as I say on the show. I don't know if you know this about me, but I have a fear. I used to have a severe fear of flying. I still have a fear of small planes. Do you? And how was it flying with Dave?
So it's I don't have a fear of flying in general, but the small plane, I was like, you have to land immediately. I got really sick. It was crazy. I'm going to be sick. Like he was like, oh, let's go look at this high school. I'm like, I can't look at anything. We have to land. I've discovered that about myself though. Small planes, helicopters, I just get very woozy, so I can't do it. I've also flown with him on a regular plane. And let me tell you, Dave is the person who, this is just one example he'll kill me over. I went somewhere with him and Steve. We're sitting on the plane waiting for 2 more people to come on the plane. Guess who the 2 people were? Steve and Dave. And they arrived with hot sub sandwiches because they were running late because they had to get their hot subs. So they're the guys on the plane just opening up their like tuna melt.
That stinks.
I know. That was one time. I mean, Dave is obviously usually not like that, but I never let them live that down.
Don't you love it, the people that are on the plane that do? They don't just get food. They have to get like the grossest smelling food in the food hall.
I'm like, I didn't realize they had a fish fry going on at the airport, but you found it. Congratulations.
Yeah. Thank you for bringing some cod on the plane. Okay, now we're going to get to the baby in the next segment because, I mean, we need time to talk. So I will politely ask about Jake first. How Jake is Falen's husband / my secret husband, but I didn't say that. My mic was off there. But how's Jake doing?
He's good. He's still very, very attractive. He's been working from home this time, and it's been so great because now, like, I think it's his nightmare. I can come home, sit on the couch, and be like, Jake, can you get me a spindrift from the refrigerator that's up here next to me? And he's like, this is my life now. But no, he does help with like the baby throughout the day and stuff, which is a nice, change up. And he likes working from home.
Well, you've heard, I'm sure you guys have talked about it on Dave Ryan in the Morning. The divorce rates are up. People are bickering at each other. I was curious, you and I really haven't talked about this. How are you and Jake getting along? Because I've been pretty open. Colin and I have butted heads a few times over the quarantine.
Surprisingly, very well. It was like really good in the beginning. And now going into like June, I was getting a little crotchety where I did the whole, I never ever even get, an hour alone in this house to myself. And he's like, I don't either. And I'm like, yes, you do. Because the baby goes to my mom's during the day. I go to work. He's there. He's like, yeah, but I'm working. It's not like alone time where I'm enjoying myself. And I'm like, yeah, but this house is never empty. Just get the baby in the car seat and just like go on a drive for like an hour, It's like, so everyone needs alone time. This is, you just do. As much as you love your person to the moon and back, but it's like you have to have your space.
Yes, as Mariah Carey on QVC, I need a fragrant moment. I just need a fragrant moment. Okay, Falen's sticking around. When we come back, we're going to talk about the baby, how motherhood has been, and much more. Stay there. Back right after this. Welcome back, everyone. More with our buddy Falen from Dave Ryan in the Morning on KDWB. And by the way, thanks, let's just be very honest, thanks to the powers that be on both sides for letting us appear together. That's very nice of you. Yeah. So I wanted to ask you about motherhood. Let me start by asking, what's been the thing that has surprised you the most, that like you had a concept of that has totally been different?
Totally been different. I think I've learned a lot of things from motherhood. The first thing I learned is just how important the people are in your life. Like once you especially first have a baby, which Olive is now like basically almost 10 months old. So she's been around for a while. But But, you know, like I thought about how when I had friends that were younger than me, because I mean, I waited till a little bit later in life to have a baby. These friends that, you know, I should have been a better friend to. I just didn't realize how important it was to reach out to those people and honestly just drop off a bowl of Panera soup and a Starbucks coffee on their porch and leave. Like, like drop a bread bowl on her porch and go. Just has like something she can eat quick. And I just look back at that, and that was the biggest thing I just didn't realize. I thought they want all this. They need alone time with their baby, and they do. But it's good just to have someone check in on you, or just drop a coffee off on your porch. You know what I mean?
That is really nice of you. I mean, that's really nice of you, but that's a good realization to have. It's the small things. How is it being you know, we're living in an era, and you know this, you know, with social media where, you know, you're critiqued for everything. What is it like for you being a public person that's very active on social media, being a mother in the era that we're living in?
You know, I will say that I was a little bit worried when I talked about, like, I didn't breastfeed for very long, and people are very adamant now about that, like, doing it. And I was really afraid people would come after me, but I also wanted to be honest that, look, you know what? I did it for like a couple of weeks, and I didn't do it longer than that, you know? And I'm not going to pretend like I did. I'm not going to pretend like I'm perfect. And but people didn't. They understood, and they were nice. And I've had people give me very kind feedback. So, but
I love Falen. I love you. I have had people give me kind feedback. That's a really polite way of putting it.
But people I think that they're used to seeing people being mom shamed, and they don't want to be that person. Yeah. And they just genuinely care. So I actually will say it has been a very lovely experience. Like, the first time I posted, like, I learned very early on, don't post a photo of your kid in a car seat, because no matter what, people will say if they're in there wrong. But when I had that, they were very kind. Like, hey, just make sure that bar is a little higher up. I'm like, okay, cool. And I had one of her like in like kind of a snowsuit. They're like, you're not supposed to put babies in with like a bunch of extra padding. I had no idea. So it wasn't mean. It was just, hey, letting you know. And I appreciated it.
Yeah. Don't you think, Fallon, well, with anything, but especially the topic of parenting, it is about the way people put it, right? I mean, even though you can't hear inflection on Twitter and Facebook, it is about the wording, and it's about coming at it from a place of actual kindness and not from a place of judgment. Don't you think?
Absolutely. When you can always tell when someone is giving you genuine feedback, and genuine feedback is important, because none of us need to hear like you're perfect and you're beautiful all the time, because that is also a bad situation to be in too, because then you start believing that you're perfect and no one is. Yeah. But anyone can tell immediately from like the first sentence or two from someone if it's just kind of hateful or if it's from a genuine good place. So your wording is very important, obviously. Yeah.
How do you handle, I talked recently and people really responded to this part of the conversation. I recently talked to our mutual friend, Chris Hockey, and I was talking to him about just social media in general and how handle it, and you handle the negativity. And how do you and I have discussed this many times privately, but do you have any advice even for a kid watching that may not have public jobs like the two of us have, but just what are some tools that you use to block out the crap that is sometimes out there?
Yeah, I would be lying if I said I'm really great at that right now.
I know.
Or ever. And I really try. One thing I have personally stopped doing is I have stopped looking for stuff. So I used to look for it. But I think that the term ignorance is bliss sometimes is the truth. And so, I would see that I was part of like someone, maybe like a news article about me came out. And I used to go look at the comments, and of course there are going to be mean comments about me on there. And it would kill me. So now, honestly, I don't even look at the comments on those. On my own posts, I do look, and those I just block people, because it's like, you know what? You don't get to say that on my page. You don't get to make this like a negative troll site. And I delete and I block them. But I think that you're allowed to give those comments a moment of your time, because they hurt. And that's, to anyone that claims that they can completely ignore it or they don't bother them, I can't imagine that.
No, I don't believe you. Yeah.
You can't give your entire day to someone. And I've done that in the past. I've let it ruin entire days. And it's just, most of the time you have too many good things going on in your life to allow any damper from someone else that doesn't know you at all.
Well, because isn't it, Fallon, I try to think about this, and it's like, it should anger you, because what you're doing is you're giving that person this person that is rather vile, you're giving them a lot of power over your day. Oh, yeah. And that's what I try to think about, and to forget, I mean, because that's really what you're doing.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And, it's just, they always say things like, it's a hurt person. Well, you know what? It still hurts when they hurt me in return. So I guess they're objective. They've vetted. I don't know. But, I really talk to Jake about it a lot, because he just is very logical and I'm not. I'm emotional. So it's really important that I had that logical person to kind of be like, even if it's one comment, Fallon, think of all, that's, even if it was 100 comments, that's not even a percentage of your audience. So it's okay.
Isn't it fascinating how Jake's absolutely right. You will give so much attention to one negative comment, but there could be 8,000 great comments that you won't give any emotional weight to. I find that fascinating.
It's true. I don't know why we work like this as humans, but we do. Even on my job interview, I remember Dave asked me, what's a big flaw about yourself, or what's something, and I said, I care too much what people think. And I do, because we all want to be liked. But a lot of people get to a point in life where they're like, I don't care what those people think. They don't know me. I only care about, my circle, what they think about me. And I hope I get to that point someday in my final question, how long do you see yourself in broadcasting, and has motherhood changed your perspective on that? No, motherhood, it hasn't changed my perspective. I hope I can do it as long as I want to. You know what I mean? Like, so if right now, I have this idea of like, oh, I'm sure I'll retire at some point in like my 50s or early 60s, right? So I hope that I can do it as long as I want to, and it's not something where I'm pushed out because of age or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah. and you know this, but I'm just going to say it because, going back to comments, I didn't ask that question like you have to choose. I just meant, my buddy Alexis, things have been reframed for her, not career, but motherhood reframes things. And I find that fascinating. So that's why I wanted you to know the intent of that question. So, yeah.
Having Olive has definitely rearranged my priorities. I've always put my career before everything. I'm talking everything. I'm talking before relationships. And now that's not the case.
Yeah.
That's important to me because I've worked hard for it, and I will continue to work hard for it, but it's not as important to me as my daughter,
Absolutely. Well, you can listen to Fallon and, of course, Dave Ryan and Dave Ryan in the Morning on KDWB. Thank you, sweetheart.
Thank you.
Tell Jake I'll call him later today.
Oh, perfect. Speed dial.
Yes. We're going to take a break. We'll be back right after this, everyone. Welcome back, everyone. Before we wrap up, if I can, just a minute, a little personal thing. If you've been with The Jason Show since season 1, or if you watch with any regularity, I talk about my dear friends a lot. I'm really lucky. I have a great, close-knit circle of friends. I usually travel with them this week. One of those friends is Haley Hurst. If you've watched The Jason Show, like I said, since season 1, you will know her as Hey Haley. Haley is not only one of my best friends, but she is the executive producer of our sister show, Good Day LA, at our Fox affiliate in LA. I bring her up because, like a lot of you, Haley has a fur baby. She has her little dog, Mashugana, Shug. Here they are right here. Well, over the weekend, my best friend Haley lost her dog. Shug passed away on Sunday morning. So I just want to take this time to say to Haley and to broaden it out, anyone that has dealt with this, you know the feeling. And I really do hate it when people say, I know how you feel, but I do know how Haley feels. And all of you that have lost a pet, it's pretty devastating. And for Haley, little Shug has been with her for over a decade, has been with her through, I think, 3 or 4 cities and just as many jobs, and has been by her side. And this is just a rough time for my buddy, for Haley. And I love her very much. We actually were supposed to be together this week traveling, but we've obviously pushed that back. So before we go, I just want to say, Haley, I love you. Shug, Uncle Jason's going to miss you. So there we go. Haley, I love you. That's going to do it for us. Don't forget, you can find us on social media. Just search for Jason Show TV on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. And my personal account, just Jason Matheson. Go out there and be yourself, everyone, because no one can tell you if you're doing it wrong.